if you're using time, that can overflow very quickly. That's only about 17 minutes or something along those lines. On a high-end device, it's more like 20 hours. But if you're multiplying by things, that also becomes a problem because you can very quickly get into those high numbers. I think, Sergey, you had some problems with noise doing this where it got choppy.
Right.
This is what it'll do. It'll put one number on one side and one number on the other, and then it'll try to blend between them. And there'll be this abrupt jump in values, so you'll get kind of walls in your images. But that was sort of a tangent.
And so when you talk about, just make sure we're clear there for anybody who doesn't know, when you're talking about noise, what do you mean by noise?
Noise is coherent randomness, reproducible coherent randomness. So it's usually a value between -1 and 1. And it takes some sort of input that usually a continuous input. So say a position. A position won't change very much between this point and the next point. And ditto if you have 2D or 3D positions, you can go in any direction and they'll stay near each other. So if you pass in inputs that are near one another, they'll give you random numbers that are near one another. And what that lets you do is it avoids things that look too nice. So say if you had something moving along a line, in real life, most things don't move perfectly smoothly along a line. They'll kind of veer along it. So for example, you could use noise to add a little displacement as you go.
Okay, so sort of give it a more organic feel as opposed to a mechanical.
Right, and I'll show. Let me see if this one is. It's not working. I have some playground examples, but of course, it's not working right now as I test it.
That's okay. Well, before we get too far away from that, though, did we want to go back to the example that we were looking at with the polygon? And was there anything there that you needed to cover?
Nothing comes to mind on my end. If anyone else has any questions about it.
How did you get the red text when you had the white text with a white background? So how did that?
Well, the red text is just. Sorry. The screen share thing is.
It's a little wonky.
That is just a fill color. So, or no, I guess my apologies. In this case, I'm just using the UV. So, from
Try the wireframe mode that we just posted to the comments.
While you do that too, I'm just going to plant a question in your head, and you may not know, and that's okay. When you're adjusting the size and or placement of an image using a shader, how does that impact certain properties on it? So, for example, height or content height. If these things are being manipulated by your shader, is that going to impact those properties? If you're trying to gather how many pixels high or wide your image is that going to be updated in real time, or is that still just reflecting? That's so weird to see yourself. Or is that just going to reflect the actual size?
Well, you're only working with what begin as content coordinates. There are, I just mentioned uniforms a second ago. That reminds me of a couple others. There's
Oh, I'm sorry if I missed that. I had to step away for a couple of minutes. So.
Okay, so there's these things called uniforms, which are basically they're corona, or they're not corona-wide, but they're globals for the shader system. And time is an example of one of them. It's updated every frame, but every shader sees the same time value. There are others called corona texel size, and it's a number that is the value of one pixel, basically.
Mm-hmm.
There's a screen version and a content version. So if you need to respect the screen size or the content size, you can use those to step 1 pixel away. Otherwise, you'll just be using the approximation it gives you. Does that answer any of it? Or?
I'm not entirely sure, but it's okay, and I feel bad too that you're revisiting stuff that you talked about when I had to walk away. Don't hold the class up for me.
Well, I didn't cover that, so.
Okay.
Okay, so you just looking at the example that you've got up here on the screen, you are creating a shader. You created points on top and bottom. You are manipulating those points. Then, because it's an image, a PNG, you are changing the fill on that. And then what else? What else is happening there?
Well, usually there's a function called corona color scale that you would apply at the end. That will use the fill color.
Okay.
I wasn't using it in that example. I was just taking the texture coordinate from left to right. That's why you get the red going from black to red as you go across the screen to the right.
Okay, so that's how you created the gradient effect with a texture fill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's see if I could cover a different use of vertex shaders if we want to go into that.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about what we've looked at so far?
Well, I want to try the wireframe thing that we found. That Seaburn. What's your name? I forgot.
Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, Kevin put it into the chat.
To the comments. To the chat, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just copy and paste that out, I guess. So he's basically what he's doing is just setting the draw mode to wireframe. So Kevin, have you used this on other projects before?
Let me unmute the mic. Yeah, I have used it, but it's in most cases not really useful because it just shows a box with vertical line. But because we have all these points, we will probably see a load of lines moving about. So I just thought it might be very interesting to actually see.
So maybe we wouldn't see the points themselves, but we would see...
No, but you can see the lines from the points.
Gotcha.
Hopefully.
Yeah, which would give us a reverse representation. This reminds me when I was a kid. You play with BASIC, and you would that's all you would do is you would just sit there and experiment. What happens if I do this?
That's so cool to watch.
Wow.
Yeah, that looks like a spirogram. One of those spiral games, where you draw the line.
Yeah, but now you can see all the lines from the points. So that's
So how come it looks like it's one line is coming from the lower right-hand corner, and then all the others extend from that?
Well, this isn't the way I thought it was represented, actually. This looks like
this is how your polygon is subdivided under the hood.
It looks like
and this is not the most efficient way. And I thought it would be stripes, but vertical stripes. But these are not vertical stripes. These are something really different.
It looks to me like it's kind of working as an STL 3D file where you build it out of triangles. So you always need to have 3 points to create a shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks like a triangle fan, which is one of the DL modes for rendering a primitive.
Well, okay. So why maybe we don't know the answer to